Good. What can I help you with? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with. This reality.
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
Are they now?
A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover paid. Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding...
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the Reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay, yes. We're on an island in an ocean.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Revachol? Revachol, the great cut.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. By that I mean conflicts. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. I think it's fair to say so. 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom.
Silence. The water, the light. There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are...
Was there something else you wanted to know?
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Messier will be here later too, and...
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
Oh, of course not. You are already diligent for getting this far. and diligent boys remember where they live.
Indeed. I'm always at your service. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second for the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the... Oh, and the anarchists, too. They shot them well.
She likes the totality of it.
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Which one? Actually, it doesn't matter. King Guillaume has always been my favourite. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended.
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is, at least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing... This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
An almost endearingly moralist standpoint. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head the turn-of-the-century revolution. Don't answer it. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authority... It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about...
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the... Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in...
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
-51 -8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven. With the international... No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splat. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here. And others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the... I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might... 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. Good question. What would you have done differently? So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with the technology 50 years ago? Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an... When they failed to step up, Marzov and his party...
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RC.
And what is your official position?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way.
Understandable. They are what they are. Anyway, enough sentiment.
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
No, not like me. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp who pushed the king under... Are you liberated enough to offer up your home on a plate for financial colonists? No.
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
That dialect is Ubi Sunt. You recognize it's a quote from somewhere. A play written way back in the Franco-Nigerian century.
Ah, maybe you remember more than you let on. Despite whatever brain damage the alcohol may have. I hope we're able to continue as friends, despite my scaly bulk. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not...
She realizes her small, cold fists suck.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Perhaps. My intellectual...
You're no dummy yourself. And the crown on your head as you lay in the casket.
Yes, I suppose I am.
Seditious talk, man.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother. And a wife. Now, shall we... A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah. This is the pier of Rue des Orteaux. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate.
Splat, splat.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a T... Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the... She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
And what would that be? I can see that, yes. I dabble in those dark arts myself. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Those days are long behind me. And even in the early 30s, I would say I was more of a new girl. Disco was a minor, but the new. A cultural era. And the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-colored everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now, wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there?
For some reason, your mind is a veritable repository of Guillaume Le Million lyrics, trivia, and B-sides. But the time to explore this is when you're alone, facing a mirror perhaps. Right now, it would derail the reality lowdown. It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality. A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway. It's on the tip of your tongue. A doubt of sorts already in your head. But it's not fully formed yet.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinaise. It's also about that, but it's also more. It's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of... It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circle incrementally. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. What rationality? What sang-froid? Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. The kingdom is difficult partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. What you want is immaterial. The kingdom of conscience is coming, whether you like it or not, only very slowly. Wow, you work hard. Oh yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's oh yeah, like a horse. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. A little. You make money. You got gills, baby. Got those black papers with the face. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop, and a sprinter, and a money printer. Yeah, you're in the sales business. Shake 'em for shit and then pawn it off. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself? Are you rich? That's right. You work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Boo-hoo. The system is broken. The establishment is keeping me down. That's not the fuck yeah attitude. The Gart man has set himself up one of those self-replicating money structures. You should learn from it. Don't? Look, the immigrants are cool. The immigrants play cool music. Everyone likes them, especially the women. Don't hate on the immigrants. They've got nothing to do with you. That's right, 100%. Fucking G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your... Our tax is almost non-existent in the Gotham estate. That is Revachol. You and I both, but they got those indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax. This tax that does 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? What are you, a racist? Don't be a racist. Be a cool immigrant, ultra-liberal free market advocate. Ride or die. Keep it street. This guy's appropriating the emerging Boogie Street lingo as part of his sales pitch for the free market economy. Yeah, ain't it cool, Ryder? Ain't it street?
The streets will flow red once more. A great torrent rush.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, The last time I was tested for Hep C. And here I was, trying to be polite. Just calm.
A brush, an artist. The red splatter is urban expressionism. The lieutenant is desperately searching for another. Hatred, disgust. It's difficult to tell the woman on the boat.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her. On a first-name basis with her, are we? Piggy's moving up in the world. Have you got a crush on her? Aching for an opportunity to Can't you tell? I'm painting a I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffiti-o? When faced with a blank wall, we rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cads. And my name's not Mona, so... This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up, you know. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come.
She means the opposite.
I ain't no snitch, Pigstein. Go forth and...
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative...
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant. Watch your back, ungulate.
A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance. The door rattles against your knuckles. But the door rattles again. But this time...
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there.
Backyard door? There must be another entrance to the east.
Madame, I assure you, we are real police officers.
There is no reply. Just This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. Because this is no ordinary wall, it is sublime. All the other walls on all the other houses must make a pilgrim. Oh, wall father.
Huh?
He sounds tired. Cindy the Skull has all the necessary materials. Talk to her.
Mm-hmm. Sure. If you must.
Are you trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my...
Logic error. She...
Pig's come to take me out. Trying to snuff me out. Don't get fucking clever with me, pig. Trying to sneak up on me.
There must be another way into the building.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. Arson, petty theft, spousal abuse, handwritten logs on dozens of You don't exactly close. It takes about half an hour to piece one together. AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It's the only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol. Which, you would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition. Because can you keep yourself off threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all. And it's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because they're good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street, which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's... That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then, and who knows, those pages are... Don't worry. One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it. Insufferable dicks. Young people are the worst. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it to where they also cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real murder. Tum 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 at the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead. Officer beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner J.M., only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case file. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo, said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twist. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found. No, it's soot and water vapor. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, so anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one enters, no one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he usually. Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin, movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you see, you can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. Yeah, he liked his smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was Murder at the Hookah Parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed piecing it together. Next. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags. In the back, you see thin, translucent copier paper. Some neon yellow. Some then rip them from the binder and hand. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station court. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police. A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases, but they appear pleasantly vague. These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct. A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form waiting to be filled. Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms, and the rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. In the words just crossed your mind. Who do you think? It's slightly, ever so slightly, difficult to breathe once you've done so.
Can I help you?
The door is closed. Still, the lieutenant gives you a quick glance. This is the door to the room you reached.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides...
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM? I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot. Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit, below it all.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state. I would say our initial inspection was very thorough, and we have solid leads to follow up. The body is still hanging from that tree, which is unfortunate. But we performed a thorough search of the premises of the crime scene. That's great. We're both doing our best under the circumstances. Just don't drink tonight, please. As for the interview, we didn't get to meet Claire, but we did get into the harbor. It'll be easier to reach him tomorrow. We tried to interview the Wild Palms rep, but she asked us to do something for her first. Fine, so be it. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us.
If Kim is emphasizing something with this much...
Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice? It's impressive, especially for a man your age. And in those nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Rebachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with the interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which you have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. The coalition government, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep...
Or if they think you do.
The Moralists International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its main... What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day for centuries.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline.
Something kind and you, something almost something ominous.
The historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen. Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Then you will adore Martinez. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't...
The dying lights of the city shimmer below, slowly, like luminous clouds. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here, An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below. Kitsuragi.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan, fallen between the... We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
window stands broken in it. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting.
The option to go to sleep becomes available every night after.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People forget about ostentatious orchestrations. If it doesn't rhyme, out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression. Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either the click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume Le Million's regional mega hit, Don't Worry, Your Pretty Little Head. Sometimes you like to add finger pistols to the mix, because, unlike Guillaume Le Million, you are a police officer. There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression, looking good on you, or anyone. 2 decades, if the calendar is to be trusted. You have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you've picked up along the way. Episode, not really. Oh, must have just stirred your mind. They're more like it doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe. The bed is cold. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out, and then sleep. And then sleep doesn't come. Obviously, you're in bed with your eyes closed. Maybe it's the bed's fault. Its synthetic filling has separated into hard. It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here. Under your thrumming eyelids, you see a dizzying array of colors. You won't get up. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? You're not kidding anyone, Harry. You don't remember shit. Do you remember your wife's hand on your face? That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there. One hand on the bottle and the other. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. No, it's gone. 3 times gone and never coming back. You failed. You failed me. You failed Elysium. Everything. The pale and the useless. On the surface. The outer magnetosphere. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people. And you failed every single one of them. No, Harry. You were just talking to yourself. That's all. You'll be back in those cold, stinky boy. You're not coming back from shit, thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours. bumping into things and acting like a clown. You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with you. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Oh, just a dream. You have ones like that. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? It's just that your heart has finally pumped all this. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day. It's power, man. It's professionalism. It makes you feel like you're young again. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Suit yourself, slow. The door is closed. Still nothing.
Morning. Looks like we can get to work at once. The union muscle turned up. They look rowdy. We should talk to them. Everything points to the dock workers' union. The belt used for which may, of course, all be wrong. But we still need to talk to them. I mean ungovernable. Martinez isn't exactly enthusiastic about the RCM men who drink beer for breakfast. There's talk of an armed wing of the union called the Hardy Boys, who are responsible for state policing. I think it's them. I completely forgot. Sorry, I had a rough night's sleep. One loose thread less to worry about, and one big problem to replace it. That would just escalate tensions. No captain would sign off on it. In fact, even the death of 2 detectives might not warrant an all-out war. So let's keep a cool head, okay? One more thing before we do. We don't have to talk to them immediately. We can walk...
Good. A power move. Yeah, streetwise. But aren't you curious?
They're in no hurry to leave. They think they own the place.